In 1987, our guest here today put a damper on the Simon Kenton State Championship celebration by beating one of Simon Kenton's favorite sons. Now, sir, if you would, tell us who you are.
I'm Mark Ohlmann, graduated in 1987 from St. X.
And I bring up putting a damper on the Simon Kenton party because good friend of the channel, Dave Barnes, you guys have already seen Dave's video from 1988. He makes reference to a certain photo. You guys are going to see a clip of it.
They did when they did the you know how they do the finals picture?
Yep.
They were doing it before. Well, that year that I lost to Mark, they did it after. So not only you stand there out of breath, and you got to walk over to the corner of the mat and, you know, get a picture taken. It's like that humiliating face stuck on my wall for a year.
Yeah,
So there was motivation there.
That
wasn't going to happen again.
Now this is that infamous photo that Dave talks about. He said he had to look at it all year. His mom and dad hung it up in their house so he could look at it. And I got to know, when you come out onto the mat into the finals, do you kind of know that Simon Kenton's already won the team title and they've got four in the finals? Do you know that, like, okay, I'm going to do what I can to make sure that Dave Barnes does not have an enjoyable 1987 state tournament?
Well, a little bit. Most of it was individual.
I got you.
I mean, St. X obviously wasn't going to win a state title. It
right.
wasn't even a question as far as team points went. So I was solely concentrating on my individual match and a little bit of redemption because my record's 42-2 that year.
Yeah.
And the number one person that beat me that year was Dave. So that was more what I was concentrating on far as.
I got you. And whenever we set this up, I messaged Dave and said, "Hey, guess what? You're getting ready to make another appearance on the channel." And he replied back, you know, "You tell that, blah, 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 blah." A lot of respect, love him. I hope he,
I've talked to him.
And, Dave's a heck of a dude, Dave. We're just pulling your leg on a few things. But kind of walk us through, how do you find wrestling in the city of Louisville in the 80s? Just how do you find the wrestling program?
Well, I was kind of surprised. I had a coach come in my sophomore year, and he was from Indiana.
Okay.
So the mindset was totally different. It's for whatever reason, I don't know if wrestlers can't swim across the Ohio River or what, but
that's a good one.
Right across the river, we had Jeff, New Albany, all the schools that were close by, which that's where my coach, Tim Harvinson, went to school, was New Albany. Floyd's Knobs, they had wrestling in grade school.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know what wrestling was till I was a freshman in high school. I knew that it was a sport and Olympics, all that other stuff, but I didn't know that they had, they offered it as a extracurricular, activity for school, besides football, baseball, the same thing in the 80s. So I believe that's really, I had a football coach and we had a wrespling team. And they had a wrestling team way before that. But being serious about winning and actually having a team like they would with, like, especially St. X with, say, football or one of those things, it was one of those that when he came along, most of our matches were in Indiana. So that kind of raised the caliber for me as far as wrestling, because you have a lot of people, well, it's different when you win in Kentucky, which I think a lot of that's changed. And we've really come a long way.
We have the level of Kentucky wrestling over the last 10 years has just completely just elevated. I would say, on the whole, I would have to put Kentucky probably in the top 25, the upper, I guess, of the 50. We're in the top 25 of it. Probably, you still got, you said, your Indianas, Pennsylvania's, Iowa, some other Ohio's, Michigan's, some other states. But I would say Kentucky is probably went from probably, I'm not going to say a bottom feeder, but probably in the 40s. Now we're at least close to top 25. But you were talking a little bit about St. Xavier. Real quick, St. Xavier has 3 team state championships, 1998, 2001, and 2013. 27 individual state champions, and just kind of hit the high spots here. 3-time state champion Tendai Cherasika, Isaac Knable. Of course, both those guys' videos are on there. The Lampies. And I believe St. Xavier's first state champion was Danny Pasquin in 1974. And you are you had Danny in 74. You had Mark Well in 74 and 75. Chris Hirvren in 1970 or 78. And then it was a big gap, 9 years, until you come along in 1987 at 126 pounds. So you started as a freshman, and I guess I'm not going to say just a learning year, but you remember what weight class that you wrestled in?
Okay, yeah, so I only weighed about 117 pounds naturally. I played football, like I said, everybody played all the sports. Was pretty decent in football and was pretty strong for my size, so I really didn't have to cut weight that year.
I got you.
The only problem was I basically was in PE class, and the football coach that was my PE teacher, we were wrestling in, I guess the show, because it was all boys school,
right.
He showed wrestling, and he was like, hey, you want to try out for wrestling? I'm like, wrestling? So that's how it basically come about. But
I got you.
That year, pound for pound, everybody's developing in different stages.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was pretty, pound for pound, size-wise, I was, pretty capable, balanced, and things like that. So it was just kind of took off. It was a natural sport for me.
And as we'll talk about later, everybody's got to start somewhere. You're not just going to go in and be top of the food chain right out of the gate. But in 1985, 119 pounds, you make it to the state tournament, but you don't place. Of course, back then they only placed out to 4. So making it though was still an accomplishment back then. 1986, as a junior, 119 pounds, you are in the semifinals against another one of Simon Kenton's, actually the Simon Kenton's first state champion, Jamie Ball.
Yeah, he was really good.
In the semifinals, and come up a little bit short. He's
way short.
Well, a 14-1 decision. I wasn't going to say it, but still, I mean,
he kicked my butt.
Jamie was good. Now, coming into your senior year, knowing this is it. This is the last shot, the last swing at the plate, if you will. What do you do differently? What is it about, I guess, your wrestling, your training off season that gets you from not placing to state champion?
Well, believe it or not, I did construction work.
Okay, hey, that's a heck of a way to get in shape.
During the summertime. And in fact, Coach watched this. We kind of went back and forth. He was like, well, you're not coming in here and you're not conditioning with the rest of it. I'm like, Coach, I'm working for 8 hours, with wheelbarrows and shovels, and we were going, we made a game out of it. But I mean, truthfully, I think that just the heat, because it was summertime, and the endurance, and just all of that helped me. And then the mental strength, people, there's natural wrestlers, there's guys that get it. I mean, heart to me is going to win. Hands over fist every time. Because you could take a natural athlete, if he has no heart, a lot of times you kind of wasted energy.
Yeah.
But I think the whole thing is that just getting down and dirty and deciding. I think after making it my junior year, because at that point you're trying to figure out, like, am I good? Can I do good?
Yep.
And that, even though I got beat 14-1, I knew what a state champion felt like to wrestle.
That's
and he was a dominant state champion.
Yeah. I mean, 14-1, man.
He shut my legs down like nobody ever had, and I was always pretty strong in certain areas. But I mean, he shut me down, and then from that point forward, I knew that what I needed to work for, and I knew that there was a chance that if I put everything into it, that I could actually do.
And there's an old analogy, people, like, you go into a weight room or you go into wherever, and there's like a dominant, like a established person that, this person benches, 500 or, squats, whatever, and they say this guy's the measuring stick, this guy's the yardstick, how do you measure up to this person? And that's a good way to look at it is, okay, I was here, didn't have my best performance, but I know what it feels like. Now, you're not going to get me again. It's not the way it works. And something, too, in doing research about this is the 1987 state tournament was a one-day 8-man bracket. 86 was a 2-day 16-man. 1988 was a 16-man 2-day, but 87 was a one-day 8-man. And I believe there was a semi-state. Is that correct?
There was.
That's what I thought. And that was, it was 3 matches in a day, but, I mean, you should be in good enough shape to wrestle 3 matches in a day. That's really not asking too much of somebody, especially, I guess, a senior, but, you condition all that time. And at the time, it was at Atherton. Did you live close to Atherton?
I mean, not too far away, especially, everybody else had to drive.
Yeah.
From,
well, like
across the state to get there.
Our buddy Tendai Charasica, in 94 and 95 when he won it, he said he went home and like took a shower, sleeping, took a nap at his house, and then got back up and I guess was able to drive over to Atherton. Chris Zinner, 1989 state champion.
My cousin.
Is he really? His video's on the channel. He actually come to my house and he said that he lived in Oldham County, and he went after his semifinals. He went back to his house at Oldham County and, like I said, showered, ate, took a little nap, got back in the car and hustled back over to Atherton. But that's kind of, I guess that's a home field advantage, if you will, being able to go to your house, not having to get up crazy early and get on a bus and stay in a hotel or whatever, throw off your routine. But let's talk real quick about your 1987 bracket. But before we talk about it, you have the original bracket that you were handed on, there we go, you guys can see that, the original bracket that you were handed on the podium, which is, and it's in phenomenal shape. I mean, whoever wrote this has the best handwriting ever was, because, I mean, it's just phenomenal. You know what, we'll use this one instead. First round, you're wrestling Tom Vivian, I believe that's from Jeffersontown. J-Town, correct? You win that by a 12-2 decision.
In fact, I think Tom Vivian is who Dave Barnes wrestled in the championship round for his state, I think.
He wrestled a guy from Frankfurt.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
For what? Oh, no, I could have swore it was...
Yeah, he wrestled a guy from from Frankfurt.
You know better than I do, for sure.
So Tom Vivian, you win that by a 12-2 decision. You go on to the semifinals. You're wrestling Dave McCown from Woodford County. Dave goes on to get third that year, and you win that by a 3-0 decision. So you get to the finals. You're wrestling Dave Barnes, Simon Kenton, and Simon Kenton. You guys will see video. Just the gym at Atherton was packed. I mean, packed out. And I would say of that, probably 75% was Simon Kenton fans, because they had the team title already locked up. They had 4 guys in the finals. The first 2 wrestlers, 98 and 105, win. I think the 98 wins by pin, like in the second period, and the place goes crazy. You guys will see a video of that. But you win your semifinals, and you see Dave win. And earlier you talked about you were 42-2, and one of those losses was to Dave. What tournament was that at? Do you remember? If you know, it's not a big deal.
I
But
don't think it was Jefferson County tournament because I thought that was Jefferson County teams only. I can't remember. It was at Western High School.
Okay.
I believe. You know, it's been
right,
over
no,
35 years.
I got you. I just was curious if
Yeah.
you remembered anything about that.
Yeah, it was. You mean the whole match? I remember it. That was what helped me to win state.
Tell us about that.
About it.
Tell us about that, if you don't mind.
Well, during the match, it was the first time I didn't know who Dave was. I knew he was from Simon Kenton, and I hadn't lost up to that point.
Okay.
I won, you know, every match that I had wrestled that year, and I believe I was beating him by 3 points, and all of a sudden he started getting stalling points.
Uh-oh.
And if I remember right, at the end of the match, basically what happened was I gave him 3 points, stalling points, and he beat me by 1 point.
Oh, my.
And, you know, again, it's one of those like, well, if he's in the state tournament, he'll probably be the one to beat. You know, because at that point you're dialed in. You know who, you know, people change weight classes and things like that, but you know, you've wrestled with these guys. They're seniors. You know who's good, who's not, who's moving up or down. You know all of that.
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
So I figured, you know, he'd be the one to beat. And the match that right after that, I lost. It was in the same tournament, but you know, that's what I was saying. It's that mentality, your mental strength. It's where it's at, and that just proves it right there. I didn't care after that, but that next week I went right back to to working out and knowing what I needed to do, and really, if it had to be the other way around, I'm glad I did not lose. Yeah, I'm glad I lost there so I could get you know my mind right to be prepared for the finals.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you remember if your match finished first, if Dave's finished first, and you kind of like watched, knew who you was going to be wrestling, or do you remember anything?
No, it's kind of like what you said. You talked about home field advantage, being able to go home. I was the type. I did not worry about. I think that's where you get in the middle street. I'm gonna wrestle as hard as I can wrestle. Now there's certain ways you need to wrestle against certain people.
Right.
But I'm not going to not give it 100% whoever they put out in front of me.
Yep.
So with that being said, I would lay up in the stands, go to sleep, and not worry about it. Because if you get into that mindset, your energy's drained before you get out of the match, or you've already determined, well, if I lose, you know, you've already decided what reason you're going to, you know, it's, you know, you can't think like that.
He beat me once already this year.
That's right. If I lose, it's okay. You know, it's not that.
At least I made it here. At least, you know, I was able to give it my best effort. No, that's a phenomenal way to look at it. Now, before we watch the match, we have a source inside the Ohlmann family. We can't say who it is, but we have a pretty good source inside the Ohlmann family. And this person said he wanted me to ask about there was a certain mat maid that you had, and you guys kind of ended up, I guess, marrying.
Yeah.
So kind of, if you will, just tell us a little bit about
All right. Well, actually, I didn't really meet her until afterwards. I had seen her my senior year.
Okay.
But, I had a girlfriend at the time, and I was so dialed in and focused on wrestling that nothing else mattered.
I got you.
After I went in the Marine Corps and came back, I came back to a tournament and basically, you know, saw her again or whatever, and then later down the road we started talking again. So I kind of knew her from there, but she knows more about wrestling than I did.
That's why, and I'm gonna say, you know, being dialed in, not, you know, wanting a girlfriend or whatever. That's saying a lot for an 18-year-old boy in school.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot. And I guess, where did St. Xavier's and all boys school? Where did the mat mates come from?
Well, we didn't have them. We just had managers.
Oh,
she went to Eastern High School.
Okay. See,
so I saw her at
I got you.
tournaments that we were at.
I got you.
Her name's Alicia.
I got you.
But anyway, like I said, with our son wrestling, I mean, she was always the go-to manager, basically, because that's what they were. They called them mat mates, but they managed whole tournaments. They ran the brackets. Those were the ones that
Like,
the writing on there, my wife has.
not sure who's writing this.
She could have. That's what I was
I
thinking.
say
when you
it
said
could
that.
be her writing. We're
Yeah.
not exactly
But
sure.
She basically, anytime they needed somebody to run a table
Yep.
or whatever, I mean, it was,
And-
they put her to work.
And that truly is a lost art. Is you hardly ever see mat. There's a few that have like scorekeepers or whatever, but the mat maid, that is a lot. There's probably, in doing this, I know there's 3 or 4 guys from Hopkinsville and Christian County that said they married their mat maid or married somebody that was on the team, and it's just like that's such a lost part of the sport.
Yeah.
I guess is the mat maid. Now after high school, you kind of went on a couple journeys. Tell us what happened after high school, if you don't mind.
Well, I thought about wrestling. I had a few offers, but I obviously wasn't much college material. I'm more of a hands-on
Right.
person. Had been my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I went straight to Marine Corps. In fact, I think I graduated in May, and in July I was on Paris Island.
I got you.
So I kind of knew, I needed to do something in that direction. So I went to the tanks. I was a tanker in the Marine Corps. Came back, and then I got on the fire department after that.
But before we get to the fire department, our source inside the Ohlmann family wanted me to bring up, said that I guess that when you were at Paris Island, said that the some of your I guess drill instructors were having a hard time getting you to break because you were, I guess, so used to being physical, your physical training for wrestling. So I was like, I'll bring that up and see what he can tell us about
I
that.
didn't know you knew about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell a story on myself. Everybody knows me. I don't care anyway. But I got kicked out of the platoon the first day we got picked up. And it was from laughing. You've seen, most people have seen Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, yeah.
Well, imagine having 4 of those. And
Okay.
they must go to some comedy school or something because they have those one-liners. And I did the, at attention and just started laughing. Well, I had a pool of sweat in front of me on a quarter deck, and they worked me out. But they have different things they do for different people.
Mm-hmm.
They're mentally strong, whatever it is. It doesn't matter if you're a triathlete; they are going to wear you out somehow. And they ended up, but I thought I was going to beat them as far as, well, they can't run me enough. Well,
Yeah.
They have a lot more energy than you do as far as standing and watching.
I can believe that. It's
So
easier.
it was good for me.
Yeah, no, that's a good story. Now you come back from the Marines and you get on with the City of Louisville Fire Department,
Mm-hmm.
and you retired from there. How long did you serve on the fire department?
23 years.
Wow, it's
I
a long
retired
time.
as a district chief, and let's see, in 2015.
Okay, and now you are a trainer for newer fire departments. Refresh my memory. What department is that?
Well, it's Anchorage Middletown Fire.
Okay.
Out here in the East End, and 5 departments merged together. So now, coming from a larger department, now I train. They actually have enough resources and financially enough stable to be able to put a recruit school on, because it's 6 months, and they have to. You basically, they have to pay the people while they're going through school, which that's pretty awesome that they do that. So they get a paycheck, and also they pay for all the certifications.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so it's 6 months long. So this will be my fourth one that I've put on. But it takes a lot of energy out of you, but it's pretty rewarding at the end of it. I kind of think about it the same way as coaching.
I understand that. That's a it's great. I was on the way up here. I was thinking about if you were going to build a a video game or whatever, like build a player, create a character. What attributes would you want to have, like a foundation for a character? Okay, state champion wrestler, tanker in the Marines, retired fire department. This guy's got all the necessary qualities, if you will, to be like, okay, we're going to make this guy create a player in a video game, build around him, add stuff to him. So it's kind of cool that you got all that.
That's the thing. You get a college degree in 4 years. I decided to go the other way. It took me 25.
Yeah, yeah. Take the
School
long
of
way.
hard knocks, you
The
know.
School of
from
Hard Knocks.
experience.
That's a good way to look at it. Now, has it been a while since you've seen your match video?
It has. It's been a good while. So.
Oh, and you know, our source inside the Ohlmann family said that good for you that you didn't wrestle in 2010 in the, I think, 145-pound weight class, or it may have turned out a little different.
Might
so,
have.
so that to our source in the Ohlmann family, we may have to set up a.
That's right. Grudge match.
Have to set up a 1987 versus 2010. I'm not going to say this person's name, but you guys can figure it out. Set up a grudge match, if you will, a Ohlmann family Royal Rumble.
That's right.
Set up the mats and go on. No, I'm just kidding. So we are going to get our TV set. We're going to go back to Atherton. We'll see you guys in 1987. 1987, Atherton High School. You guys, of course, are seeing what we're seeing, and this video has the face-off and it has the match. So we're going to hop right into it. Let's go.
Only yellow guy there.
I'll say you got a big yellow.
Gold, I should say.
Gold, yeah, gold. Look at how crowded the gym is.
Oh, I know. Well, compared to a Frankfurt or Horse Park, you got a lot of people.
Now, I'm going to stop it right here just for a second. Now, you guys are going to see this on the video, has the scoring sheet, and it's got you circled -1 team point. Do you remember anything about that?
I remember a little bit about it.
What?
In fact, I was joking. I joked with my son before. I said, nobody really gave you, like, now, if you win, this is what you're supposed to do or what you're not supposed to do.
Right.
So basically, after I won, I ran off the mat into a group of my dad and the family and everybody. And it was, I'll tell you right now, it was worth the team.
Oh yeah, of course. Like you said earlier, St. X wasn't in the team standings or the team race. So, but I saw that and I was like, man, I got to ask him about that because there's nothing in a match that you do that you would see to cause a team
I
point.
ran off the mat and they gave me a team.
It's worth it. All right, here we go. So it's going to pick up right here, handshake. So right off, you're fighting off a little bit of a shot.
Front quarter a lot. I ran it a whole lot.
So what was your go-to takedown?
I like a high crotch single leg off of a tie.
Mm-hmm.
I think I started using a 2-on-1.
There it is, 2. And fun fact, this was the last year Kentucky went where the referees didn't wear wristbands.
Oh, really?
Because in '88, they started using wristbands. Come on, Dave, you're stalling. And that St. X crowd, Ohlmann.
I had a pretty good rally behind me. We hadn't won for so long. I had a really good group that showed up in the stands, and that helped.
And that was before Facebook. That was before being able to call people on cell phone. So I guess the word just spread. Hey, he's in the finals. Let's go watch him.
I used the heck out of that Navy. Right?
I was gonna say
you get it on him though.
You gotta. He's
the
fighting
wrist,
it,
I got the wrist right there, and I still couldn't get him turned over to get my points. I scored a lot of points with that Navy rod.
Yeah.
I think too a lot of people didn't see it. I don't know. It's funny how you can bring a move back from a long time ago. It takes people a while to go back. You can hit them with they don't know the counter.
We're out of bounds.
Yeah, I I remember I wasn't. I went back and watched, like I said, and watched my matches a lot just to watch. I was a pretty boring wrestler.
Hey,
It's like a college match. There wasn't anything extravagant.
Dave's trying to stand up. Oh. He gets him one. Okay, we're neutral. Good call. I believe that's Gene Washington, correct? Is that Gene?
I'm not sure what his name was. Was he from? Because I saw him a lot in. Was he from Louisville?
He may have lived there then. I'm not
know.
sure.
It seemed like I saw him at a lot of tournaments. Of course, we didn't have a whole lot of rest back then.
Yeah.
I know Martin. What's the score right now?
I believe it's 2-1.
Okay. Yeah, that whole section over there is nothing but Simon Kenton.
Yeah,
I remember
it's
that whole section.
The
right
whole thing is Simon Kenton.
there. There wasn't a seat left in the crowd, I don't think.
You can see people there on along the walls and everything, and they're into it too. They're not just there. I mean, they're into it. So on top, that looking for that Navy, but you haven't been able to do it. We looking to do anything different, or?
Yeah, he's really strong legs.
Mm-hmm.
So it was hard to get anything. I think I quit doing it after that.
So it's.
But he was really good at, I don't know if you noticed, like tripping, just getting you off balance and then hitting you the other way.
Yep.
And that was kind of my one of the good things that I did have was I had really good balance. So
Yeah.
I think there's a couple moves here. In fact, I think at the end he trips me, and we've talked about it before, how he didn't end up scoring on me. Because, I mean, the position he had me in was terrible.
Yeah.
I don't even know how. I hit and bounced right back up or something. But, and it was just one of those things that equally matched.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to just basically opportunities and who's gonna outlast the other,
Yep.
And that's how I kind of trained. I mean, as far as for that finals match, just to exhaustion. You can see both of our faces. All right, so here's where I got nervous, because remember I said in the first time that I got a caution for stalling.
Yep.
And I ended up losing to him over that. So I had to really be aware of that, because I was like, I'm not getting back into that again. See, and I like tying up, but see how he keeps pushing me forward?
Yep.
Well, I didn't want him to get my legs, so I think he kind of knew that all he had to do was back me up, and he could get a point. So I tried to drive without putting my legs close to him, because you could see where he wants.
Oh yeah,
He definitely likes that.
If you get close,
that
man,
single leg.
he's going to go for it.
If there's a high crotch right there.
Right, so end of the period. Excuse me. You take down. Now, this is the first time you've been down. We looking like stand up, switch?
Yeah, my
what?
stand up. That's what I was saying. That's why about ball, he could pinch my legs. I mean, for whatever reason, I could stand up, and I almost knew I was going to score. I could always get to my feet. Now, what I did from there.
There it is. So you get your one. I believe it's 3-2 now.
Now, see, he's a lot. It seems like he's maybe not, but he's quite a bit taller. I think well, if it's legs wise or upper body, but he's a lot longer on the reach. I know that as far as getting the legs. That's why he backing up. I mean, all he had to do was see that trip again. He likes that trip, and I always went for that high crotch.
We're out. We're neutral.
I knew if I could keep him tied up top, then I run the heck out of that front quarter. That that will wear people out. And he likes that trip. He's going. In fact, here in a minute, I think it's towards the end of the match. It would have been over. It would have been a game changer. We probably would have went to overtime. But he keeps that trip up.
We're out of bounds.
We're out of gas is what we're out of.
Yeah. Yep.
It's funny when you're equally matched with somebody. It's every ounce of energy you
And
got.
the crowds kept their energy up the whole time.
Oh yeah. There's a high crotch.
There it is.
It seemed like
Two.
he liked the outer outside single, and I always went with the inside.
All right, so I believe now the score is 5-2.
But when he trips me, if he would have tripped me, got to you, and then taken me to my back, because I'm telling you, when he trips me on this last one, he could have very easily rolled me to my back. That would have been a 5-point turnaround.
Oh,
right there.
shoot.
So he gets up. I think he gets one. It ended up being what, 5-3?
5-3.
Okay, so I think he escapes one, and then he turns right around and almost, it would have been a game changer there.
He's good. He's good on the bottom.
Oh yeah.
But you've been able though to neutralize just about all of his. Oh, got a caution.
That's where he gets his one.
So he gets his one.
So he's down two. Right here's his trip. See how he has me tied up
Yep.
up there? Watch. Boom.
Nope, not yet, not yet, not yet.
And I didn't let him score.
Nope, we're out.
Ooh, man.
It's close.
That right there, that would have been the game changer.
That's
You
close.
tell. That would have been the win for him
Yep.
right there. Thank God I kept my balance and rode through it.
End of the match.
So here's where I run off the match.
Yeah,
The mat right here into the crowd.
yeah.
There's my point. There's my dad there. I remember
Yeah.
I remember being down on the bottom of this dog pile, and I was exhausted, and I couldn't breathe, and I was like, I can't breathe.
Get
I
off.
had to get everybody off of
Now,
it.
right here, this is that photo. It was weird they took them after the match. You'd think they would do that before.
And that's one thing I never did let myself do. I never did a number one sign, even winning tournaments, whatever. And that's the only
Right
time
there.
I ever did it, right there.
And that's a great. That's a Breakfast Club. The ending of the Breakfast Club when I think his Bender walks off.
Oh
And
yeah.
he holds his hand up, but
Yeah, I didn't figure I was number one until
hey,
I was number one.
and
so.
it was one of those you just had to earn it. But that photo, you guys are going to see a good photo of it here. That, like I said, Dave talked about
I
that.
say, I'm sure Dave doesn't want to see it. He doesn't have one from his senior year, huh?
He's got one from I
They
believe
don't do
his
it like that
his
anymore?
senior year, but not. I don't. He's got one from his junior year, but I think it's at his mom and dad's house.
Oh.
But in his video, he talked about how that I guess his parents hung it up like close to his bedroom, so he had to look at it all the time. And said there he was,
Must have worked. He won his senior year, right?
kind of beat up and sweaty and everything. But don't feel bad for Dave. Dave goes on in 1988, wins his individual state championship, most outstanding wrestler. Then he goes on to Miami of Ohio, and he's a 3-time conference champion, and he's also one of only of a few Kentucky Division I All-Americans.
Yeah.
Kyle Rochelle did it twice. Dominic Black in 1987, state champion from Henry Clay. His video's on the channel. Dave Barnes, a gentleman, his name escapes me, from 1980. Then David Carr from Woodford County and Mark Hall from Ryle. Of course, they were in middle school. David Carr's video's on the channel. But just a very short list of Kentucky Division I All-Americans, and Dave is one of them. And you can say you have a.
I know it makes me feel good. That I was proud to know. I didn't know all that until I started seeing him again at the youth when I was coaching youth.
Right.
I ran into him, and I think Coach Kresick at the time was telling me all of it. I was amazed. I was like, wow. But it says something right there.
Yeah, Dave. We done his video at his office there in Florence the night before the 2023 semi-state, and it was good to get with him, and we done Grant's video and kind of started putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And he said, oh man, he's my uncle, and I was like, he wrestled Dave Bond. We've got to get it on the channel. So man, we're here today at your beautiful home, and this is the east end of Louisville.
Yeah, kind of in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know
not totally east.
I turned off got off was at exit 19A there on the Gene Snyder and come a little bit and come through I think J-Town if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, it's beautiful place here.
Thank you.
But watching it back, does it play back the way you remember it?
It does.
Okay.
It does. I mean, like you were talking about. To me, a lot of it is about the room, like your room that you wrestle with. If you don't have a lot of people, if you have a state championship team, usually you have a room full of state champions, or you have really good wrestlers that you wrestle with. It's just funny how, and this is one tournament. You know, I could have wrestled the next weekend and lost, or it could have went either way. So, but it's the work that you put in. It's basically knowing that you can, because nobody wants to put a bunch of effort in if they already know the ending of the story. And coaching helped me understand this a whole lot better. Everybody's state championship match is not being a state champion. Because I can tell you right now, I've had kids that probably shouldn't even have made it to a tournament or made it as a starter, and watched them put effort in, and all of a sudden, and really to me, wrestling, not to get too far into the woods, but it's life. You don't know how it's going to turn out, and there's no guarantees. Some things you think you were going to like, put a bunch of effort into it, and you don't like it anyway. So, but most of the time, hard work will prevail. Everything. And this is what always goes back to me. Luckily I had the Marine Corps, the fire department, applying those same principles as far as once you wrestled everything. And I always go back because it's so true. If you put that amount of effort into something, you're going to see good results. And there's no guarantees you're going to have the ultimate result, but you're going to see good results.
There's the name escapes me, but there's an influencer on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and they posted a while back, and I saw it, and I was like, man, that's such a great saying, is don't become a millionaire just to be able to say you're a millionaire.
That's right.
Become a millionaire for what it makes you become. What is it about me that I can pull out that I didn't know I had? What is it about me that made me be a better version that, yes, I may have, X amount of millions in the bank or however you choose to store your money, but doing that made me become a better version of me. And it's the thing about wrestling, like you said, when life is going to get tough, am I going to roll to my back and just say, okay, life,
that's right,
pin me, or am I going to say, daggone it, I've been here before, maybe not in this exact, but I've been on my back before, and I'm not letting this life situation.
Well, it's a moment in time too, because the thing about it is, and I used to ask, I do the recruits now that I coach, because it segued into what I'm doing now. You're really a coach on coaching recruits or training them up in anything that you're doing. But the whole thing is if you ask anybody, hey, any age group, hey, who wants to be a state champion? Well, everybody's going to raise their hand. But then when you say, who wants to do the work? that daily grind is what it's all about.
Yep.
And some people, once they get in a little bit, they want to act like they, and that's the thing. It's the daily grind of living it and never losing focus
Yep.
of what your ultimate goal is. And sometimes you'll fall short of it. Maybe you only get one shot at it, and you do. Like I said, if this would have turned out any other way, and I was, a runner-up this year, how would it have changed my life? I don't know, but the thing about it is I probably wouldn't have been a runner-up if I wouldn't have worked as hard as I did.
Yeah,
So
you're probably
that's
right.
the whole thing, and even with that being said, it's something to be proud of.
Oh,
Just because
absolutely.
You weren't that week at your best, and you weren't a state champion. You got to put the effort out.
Yep.
If you're going to do anything, put 100% in.
And we're going to end the video here. Now, we have another video that we're going to do. It is a memorial video. We're not really going to go into it here, but it is for Strawn Nutter from Boone County, 1983, Most Outstanding. Tune in to that video. You can get Mark's full story with Strawn and all that, but we're going to end it here. So be sure to check out Strawn Nutter's memorial video, but until then, we'll see you guys on the mats.